I know Yom Kippur is not exactly the thing that you would have expected to be hearing about tonight, but I feel that there's such a connection from this week to Yom Kippur. It's an amazing thing, because if we think back, many of us, I'm sure, when we came to Yom Kippur and through the Yamim, Noraim, and Sukkot and all that stuff, we had like ideas of what we wanted to accomplish. And probably by now, I'm talking to myself here more than anybody else, we've gotten a little lax. We've gotten a little lax in our what we wanted to accomplish. Some things we may be doing good, other things not as good. And now I feel like is a great time to realize that is, number one, totally normal, and number two is take that opportunity to re-strengthen ourselves. Because this week we have been introduced in the Torah to an amazing character, and that is Avram Avinu. Really, to describe Avram Avinu, nobody better than the Rambam to explain what level we're talking about that Avram Avinu reached. We're talking about a person here who grew up, 0 teachers, 0 positive influences, literally grew up in a world totally full of idolatry. There was nobody preaching monotheism and a Kadosh Baruch Hu ruling the world. And to such an extent, he was in the middle of nowhere, and they feared him so much, right, that they had to throw him into a fire at a certain point in his life because they were nervous. Now, some might think, well, yeah, that's because they thought he was crazy. No. If they thought he was crazy, they wouldn't have bothered. They would have just said, Avram, what are you worried about? He's crazy. Don't listen to him. He's crazy. Right? No. They were very worried because he was being very successful. Right? Now, to explain what level we're talking about, where he reached, even coming from a place of 0, literally, there was nothing. The Rambam explains at the end of Hilchos Tshuva, he says that somebody who serves a Kadosh Baruch Hu of Ava is he's doing of love. It's because it's the truth, and he says that this is the level of Avram Avinu, and he says Umalazu Himala Gedola Adma'od. This is an extremely high level. Now be careful of his words. He says Ve'ein kol chacham zochel lekach. He says not every wise person even reaches this level. Forget regular people. Wise people don't even reach this level. He says, V'hi malas Avram Avinu. And this is the level of Avram Avinu, Shekaru HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ohavi, my beloved. Now, if you're going to think, right, like many people, sometimes we read a lot of stories, we see these tremendous people who have reached such levels, right? Like, well, of course, they were born on like the highest level already, right? Their father, whatever excuse we want, right? They had it all. Avram Avinu had 0, nothing. He was born into a house of idol worship. He was in a society of idol worship. But one thing we cannot forget, we can't give up, because Avram Avinu didn't either. Avram Avinu fought. This was not easy for him. He might have started thinking when he was young, but this was a long process, a very long process, right? The earliest time that he had a revelation from a Kadosh Baruch Hu is at best 70 years old. 70. When do we think that he started preaching his message of monotheism? According to the Rambam, he was 40. That means for 30 years, from the time he was very young, he already started thinking. So it took him about 37 years to figure out, okay, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is it, I'm ready to go. 37 years it took him. How long have we spent? We're not even 37 years old. Right? It takes a long time. One has to really, really work at it. And then even if you get there, from 40 until 70, he did not hear a word from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that means he was working on his mission of spreading the word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu for 30 years, and he didn't hear a thing, because he knew he was right. So us, it's been a few weeks since Yom Kippur. It's been a few weeks since Simchas Torah. We can't give up, and we have to keep pushing. It's not about the battle, it's about the war. You have to make sure that we know that, okay, I can slip up a little bit here. I can slip up a little bit there. We have to keep our minds on the goal, because we're no different than Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu took him at least 37 years to get to the point where he was confident in his mission, And then it took him another 30 years before he even had a revelation from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So us, we have to keep fighting. And we have to keep going. And Baruch Hashem, we have an opportunity. We have people to learn from. We have the Torah that was given to us by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have so many ways to connect. And we just have to keep that fight up. And we can't give up. And we have to be stubborn in our fight. Because, listen, the Yetzer Hara is smart. He's got a lot of experience of tripping us up because he's been with us since we were born, while our Yetzer Tov only comes in later. He's got at least 13 years on us of knowing our inner workings to a T. So yeah, it's okay. We can slip up a few times. But guess what? We got to keep going and we got to keep fighting. And just like Avram Avinu, don't take the short-term goal in mind. We're going for the long run. We're going for the home run. We got to make sure that we keep fighting. Have a good chance.